It was a Wednesday mid-March. I had just wrapped up a client lunch downtown and was heading back home a little earlier than usual. Figured I'd beat the rush, maybe spend a quiet evening with Melissa. We'd both been busy lately, too busy. She had her Pilates classes, her book club, something else on Thursdays I kept forgetting. And me? Just work. Always work. Anyway, I texted her I was coming home early. No reply, but that wasn't unusual. She hated her phone, always forgot it in her bag, or left it charging in the laundry room. Raul picked me up around 2:45. He's been with me about a year now. Ex-military guy. Quiet. Always punctual. Drives like he's guarding the president, which I guess is a good thing, though sometimes I wish he'd loosen up a little. The drive was uneventful. Clouds were rolling in, the way they do when spring's trying to kick winter out the door. We talked a bit, mostly about the upcoming game on Sunday. Raul's a Ravens guy, per soul. I told him he was lucky I still let him drive my car. When we pulled up to the house, I noticed Melissa's car wasn't in the driveway. Figured she was out running errands. Maybe picking up something for dinner. I didn't think much of it. Raul opened the door for me like he always does. I told him to take the rest of the afternoon off. He thanked me and said he might swing by his cousin's to help fix a transmission. I went inside. House was quiet. Still smelled like that lemon candle Melissa likes to burn in the kitchen. Shoes by the door, one of her scarves tossed over the back of a chair. Typical stuff. I grabbed a bottle of water from the fridge and kicked back on the couch, flipping through the channels but not really watching anything. More just being still. 15 minutes later, I heard the garage door rumble open. Melissa walked in a minute after that, holding a brown paper grocery bag. She looked surprised to see me. "Oh, you're home early," she said, setting the bag on the counter. "Client bailed on me," I said. Figured I'd take advantage of the peace and quiet. She smiled, that soft, polite kind of smile you give someone in passing. Then she turned back to unpacking groceries. I stood there for a second, watching her. Nothing out of the ordinary. But something, I don't know, felt muted. Like I was watching a scene through glass. She pulled out a bottle of red wine. "Figured we could open this tonight. Any special occasion?" She shrugged. "Not really. Just felt like being nice." That should have made me happy. But it didn't. It made me feel like something was off. Maybe it was the way she wouldn't quite meet my eyes. Or the fact that she had a smear of lipstick and not a single strand of hair out of place, like she'd just come from somewhere important, not the grocery store. But again, I didn't say anything. Instead, I offered to help her make dinner, which she politely declined, again, normal for us. After we ate, she went upstairs to take a bath. I stayed downstairs and scrolled through emails, mostly trying to distract myself from the growing knot in my stomach. You ever feel like something's trying to tell you something, but you're not ready to hear it yet? That's where I was. Around 9 p.m., I got a text from Raul. "Made it back. Thanks again for the afternoon off." I replied, "No problem." Then I paused, and almost without thinking, I typed another message. "Hey, Melissa wasn't home when we got back, right? She get in after me?" He didn't reply for a few minutes. When he did, he wrote, "No, sir. She was pulling out of the driveway when we arrived." Waved and smiled. Figured she was headed out. I stared at the screen for a moment. So she had seen us pull up? And instead of stopping to say hi or come back in, she left? Odd. Then again, maybe she didn't want to ruin her grocery run. Maybe she forgot something and turned around. Maybe I was being paranoid. Or maybe, just maybe, something I didn't yet understand had started to unfold right under my nose. I brushed the thought aside and shut my phone off. That night, she kissed me goodnight a little too quickly. And I told myself I was overthinking it. But now, looking back, that was the first day I realized that something wasn't right. Next morning started the same way every other did. Alarm went off at 6:30. I hit snooze twice before rolling out of bed. Melissa was already up, brushing her hair at the vanity, wearing that oversized white robe I got her on our anniversary 3 years ago. She looked at me through the mirror and smiled. "Coffee's on," she said. Same words she always used. Except this time, they felt rehearsed. Like she was reading off a script. I nodded and dragged myself into the shower. The house was quiet except for the faint gurgle of the coffee maker downstairs. That smell, fresh brew mixed with citrus cleaner, had always been one of my favorites. Felt like home. But that morning, I noticed something else too. Melissa's phone was on the nightstand. Screen down. Locked. Normally, she didn't leave it behind, especially not in the mornings, when she was checking weather apps, texts from her sister, Pinterest recipes she'd never actually make. Out of habit, I picked it up to hand it to her. Then I paused. There was a text notification, just one, visible on the lock screen. Thanks for yesterday. Still thinking about it. No name. Just a number. Area code 804, local. I didn't open it. Just stared at it for a second. My thumb hovered over the screen, but I stopped myself. I'm not that guy. I've never been that guy. So I set the phone back down. In the kitchen, Melissa was already sipping her coffee, flipping through a magazine like nothing was out of the ordinary. Her wedding ring sparkled in the light, catching my eye like it was trying to say something. I poured myself a cup and sat down. You sleep okay? I asked. Yeah. You? Fine. She flipped the page without looking at me. You working late again tonight? I shook my head. Should be home by 5. She nodded slowly, still reading. I was thinking of cooking. You up for that? I asked. She hesitated, just long enough for me to notice. Then smiled. Sure. What do you feel like? Surprise me. She nodded again, then turned the page. I left for work around 8:15. Raul was waiting outside, already out of the car, door open for me. We made small talk. Weather, traffic, the game, like always. I liked Raul. Still do, actually. He's dependable, quiet, respectful. The kind of guy who doesn't talk just to fill the air. I always appreciated that. But something about that drive felt different. Maybe it was me. Maybe I was the one starting to pull away from things without realizing it. Around lunchtime, I found myself staring at my computer screen, not really seeing anything. That text, the one on Melissa's phone, kept floating back into my head. Still thinking about it. Still thinking about what? Again, I told myself I was being ridiculous. Could have been a friend. Could have been about something totally innocent. But it didn't feel innocent. Not anymore. I didn't want to become the guy who snoops through his wife's phone. That always felt like a line you didn't cross unless you were ready to face whatever you might find on the other side. And I wasn't. Not yet. That night, Melissa made lasagna. Garlic bread, too. She even lit candles at the table, something we hadn't done since Caleb's birthday dinner 2 months back. She poured wine and talked about her book club. How Amanda never actually reads the books and just shows up for the gossip. I laughed in the right places, nodded when I was supposed to. But inside, I was distracted. Her phone buzzed once, then again. She didn't check it. I did. Not openly, just glanced at where it sat on the counter. Upside down again. Silent mode. That wasn't like her. At one point, she got up to grab more Parmesan from the fridge, and I reached for her phone. Again, I didn't open it. Just checked the screen. No name. 2 new texts from the same number as this morning. That same, sinking feeling hit me. Later that night, as we were getting ready for bed, I finally said something. Hey, can I ask you something? Melissa was taking off her earrings. Sure. That number that texted you this morning, who was it? She blinked. What? I saw your phone. It lit up when I picked it up to bring it to you. Just wondered who it was. She smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. Oh, that was just Mandy. From the book club. She got a new number. Huh, I said. Melissa turned off the lamp and climbed into bed. Why? She asked, her voice casual. Do you think I'm texting some secret lover or something? She was joking. Light tone, raised eyebrow. But I didn't laugh. Instead, I said, no, I don't know what I think. She looked at me, the smile gone now. Just silence. Eventually she turned away and pulled the covers up. Good night, Daniel. Night. And that was it. But something had shifted. Not a fight. Not even a clear lie. Just a crack. One of those quiet, invisible ones that starts behind the paint and spreads deep into the wall. The next few days were quiet. Too quiet. Not the peaceful kind. More like that eerie stillness before a summer storm hits, air too warm, sky too calm. You know something's coming, but it hasn't broken yet. Melissa was fine. Smiling, polite, laughing when she was supposed to. But there was something missing behind her eyes. Not sadness, not guilt, not yet. Just distance. The way someone looks at you when they're already halfway gone. Raul picked me up Friday morning like always. He was early. He's always early. We made our usual run to the office, then over to the supplier out near Broad Street. I was going through receipts in the back seat when I noticed him glance at me in the rear view. Everything all right, sir? He asked. I looked up, surprised. Yeah. Why? He hesitated. You've been quiet lately. I gave a small laugh. Maybe I'm just getting old. He smiled at that but didn't push further. And I appreciated it. Later that afternoon, I got a call from Melissa. She asked if I wanted to grab dinner at that Thai place we hadn't been to in forever. I said sure. Thought maybe it was her way of reaching out. But when I got home to shower and change, she said Raul had already dropped her off there earlier to grab a table. Said it was packed, and she didn't want to lose a spot. That struck me as odd. She's never asked Raul for rides. Ever. I got in my truck and drove over. When I walked into the restaurant, she was already seated. Far corner, 2 glasses of water, one half empty. Hey, she said, flashing that smile. You clean up nice. Thanks, I said, eyeing the second glass. You order already? No, just water, she said quickly. Thought I'd wait. I sat down, trying not to overthink things. But I did. I kept thinking about Raul. About why she called him. About how long she was here before I arrived. 10 minutes? 20? And why she didn't just wait for me at home. Dinner was good. Conversation was light, too light. We talked about Caleb, her sister's new puppy, something funny she'd read online. But none of it felt real. After dessert, I asked her again. So, you had Raul drive you here? She nodded. Yeah. I didn't think it was a big deal. I mean, it's not, I said. Just surprised you didn't mention it before. She looked down at her fork, then back at me. Do you think something's going on? I blinked. What? With me and Raul, she said, her tone flat. Is that what you're thinking? I sat back. No. It's not like you to ask him for anything. That's all. She nodded slowly, then gave a small laugh. You're being weird. Maybe I was. Or maybe I was just finally waking up. When we got home, she went upstairs to take off her makeup. I stayed back in the kitchen, sitting in the dark with a half-finished glass of wine, staring at the back door. Then I heard it. A soft vibration. Her phone was on the counter. Again, face down. I didn't mean to touch it. But I did. I turned it over, and there it was, the same number. No name. Just the digits. You looked amazing today. No timestamp. Just the message sitting there like it owned the room. I didn't open it. I didn't unlock anything. Just stared. I didn't know what was worse, the possibility of something going on, or the feeling that I already knew and was just too afraid to say it out loud. Upstairs, the water turned on in the bathroom. And just like that, I set the phone back where I found it and walked out to the porch. Sat there in the dark, listening to the crickets, trying to remember the last time Melissa had told me I looked amazing. Couldn't recall. It was Saturday morning, one of those still, overcast days where time seems to move slower. I got up before Melissa, made coffee, fed the dog, and sat at the kitchen table going through invoices for a project that was already 2 weeks behind schedule. Melissa came down a little after 9. Still in pajamas, hair tied up, holding her phone like it was an extension of her hand. She kissed me on the cheek, light, automatic. I'm heading to yoga in a bit, she said. Then maybe swinging by the farmer's market. I nodded. Want me to drive you? She paused. Just a beat too long. No, I'll take my car, she said quickly. I need to make a couple stops after. Might be easier. Fair enough. Except she never went to yoga on Saturdays. That was always her Thursday thing. But I didn't say anything. I just smiled, told her to drive safe, and went back to work. About an hour after she left, Raul pulled into the driveway. I wasn't expecting him. I stepped outside, a coffee mug in hand. He rolled down the window. Hey, sir, he said. I left my jacket in the back of the car yesterday. Mind if I grab it? Sure, I said. Pop the trunk. He stepped out, walked around back, opened it, and there it was. A black windbreaker, folded neatly in the corner. But something was off. Raul reached for it, but I got there first. Picked it up, felt the weight of it. Something was in the pocket. I slipped my hand in and pulled out a folded piece of paper. Not mine. Not his, by the look on his face. Raul's eyes narrowed, and he opened his mouth like he wanted to explain, but didn't. I unfolded it. A receipt. One of those little carbon copy slips from a motel, the kind off the interstate, with the peeling sign and weekly rates painted across the fence. Date: yesterday. Time: 3:42 p.m. Room: 108. Name: not listed. Paid in cash. I looked at Raul. His jaw clenched. What is this? I asked. I don't know, he said, too fast. You don't know? It's not mine, he said. I don't even know how it got there. I just stared at him. Raul's not a liar. I mean, I thought he wasn't. But something in his eyes, the way they wouldn't stay on mine, told me otherwise. Were you even home yesterday afternoon? I asked. He hesitated. I had the day off. Remember? right? I said. You said you were with your cousin. Transmission repair. He nodded. That's right. I folded the receipt and handed him the jacket. You forgot something. He took it without a word, got back into the car, and drove off. I stood there in the driveway for a long time, just watching the taillights disappear down the street. Melissa got back around noon. She walked in with a grocery bag, kale, a couple apples, lavender soap, and a smoothie in her hand. Same yoga outfit she'd left in, not a hair out of place. How was class? I asked. Good, she said. Packed, though. I nodded. You go to the market after? Yeah, she said. It was slim pickings, but I grabbed what I could. I watched her move around the kitchen, so casual, so fluid, so normal, and I realized something. She was better at lying than I thought. That afternoon, I went for a drive. No real destination, just needed air. Clarity. Half an hour later, I pulled off the interstate. I didn't plan to. My hands just turned the wheel. I drove past the gas stations, the auto repair shops, the liquor store with the bulletproof glass. And then I saw it. A cheap, sun-bleached sign that read, Glenfield Motor and Clean. Quiet. Private. I turned into the lot. Pulled up near room 108. Curtains drawn. No car out front. I didn't get out. Just sat there. Long enough to realize that the knot in my stomach wasn't going anywhere. Long enough to know that whatever was happening, it had already started. I didn't go home right away. I drove past our house. Turned down Oak Ridge, then cut through the industrial park. Ended up parked outside the old storage unit I'd rented years ago when we were remodeling the kitchen. I sat there for over an hour. Engine off. Windows cracked. Just thinking. Not panicking. Not angry. Just thinking. There's a moment, if you've ever had your trust shattered, you'll know it, when you stop asking if something's happening and start asking how deep it goes. It's a different kind of hurt. One that comes with clarity. And it was starting to click. Her extra book club nights. The texting. The strange yoga class. The way she smiled like someone who already had a secret. But what hit me hardest? Raul. My driver. My employee. The man I trusted to drive my son to school once when I had the flu. The guy I lent money to last December when his car needed new tires. I didn't want to believe it. Honestly, I still wasn't sure. So I did something I hadn't done before. I acted. That night, after Melissa went to bed, I went through the security camera footage from the front porch. We have one of those discreet little doorbell cams, not obvious, but it catches everything. I poured a whiskey, sat in the dark at my office desk, and rewound through the past 5 days. Most of it was nothing, delivery guys, squirrels, neighborhood kids riding bikes. But Thursday? Thursday at 3:37 p.m., Melissa walked out the front door, wearing that same black yoga jacket. Hair down, purse over her shoulder. She paused on the porch, looked around, and then she smiled. Not at the camera, at someone off-screen. A moment later, Raul's car pulled into frame. She walked right to the passenger side, got in, and they drove off. I watched it twice. Then again. 3 hours later, she came back alone, got out of the same car, smoothed her hair in the reflection of the window, walked back in like she'd just picked up groceries. That smile haunted me, not because it was proof, but because I recognized it. It was the same smile she gave me back when we first started dating. The smile that said, I'm thinking about what we just did, and I can't stop grinning. I sat there for a long time, sipping my drink, letting it burn all the way down. And then I made a decision. I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. I needed more than suspicion. I needed certainty. The next day, I called a guy I knew, friend of a client, does digital forensics and surveillance on the side. Discreet. No questions. He said he could install a tracking app on her phone, something invisible, something clean. But he needed physical access for 5 minutes. No problem. Melissa left her phone charging in the kitchen every night. That evening, while she was upstairs brushing her teeth, I made a show of checking the oven timer for leftovers. Slipped the phone out. 5 minutes later, the app was installed. I didn't feel proud. I felt sick, but also calmer than I'd been in weeks. Now I wasn't guessing. I was watching. The first 2 days, nothing. Errands. Gym. Grocery runs. No contact with Raul. Then Monday came. At 11:26 a.m. While I was in the middle of a meeting, my phone buzzed. Melissa Taylor has left home. Location, 2417 Carson Street. I stared at the address. Didn't recognize it. Punched it into Google Maps. Motel. Same one from the receipt. Room 108. The time said it all. Noon. Check-in time. I texted Raul. Hey, think you can swing by the site around noon? Need help loading supplies. No reply. 10 minutes passed. Then 15. I got in my truck and started driving. Didn't tell anyone where I was going. Didn't even tell myself. When I pulled into the Glenfield Motor Inn, I parked across the lot, one row behind the office. Watch for movement. At 12:42, Raul walked out of room 108. Alone. Sunglasses. Jacket zipped halfway. Phone in his hand. He looked relaxed. Like a man who had nothing to hide. Except he did. And I saw it. 10 minutes later, Melissa came out. She had changed clothes. Hair tied up now. No makeup. She looked ordinary, but satisfied. Like someone who just had dessert they knew they shouldn't have ordered and didn't regret it one bit. They didn't leave together. He drove off first. She waited, then walked around to the front office, handed something to the receptionist, and got in her car. I didn't follow. Didn't need to. That night, she came home and kissed me on the cheek. Asked if I wanted lasagna. I said sure. Sat across the table from her, chewing slowly, nodding in the right places. She told me about a podcast she liked. I watched her hands as she talked. Her eyes. Her wedding ring catching the kitchen light. And I wondered, how long had I been sitting across from a stranger? I wasn't looking for it that day. I wasn't tracking her phone, checking locations, or playing detective. Not this time. I was on my lunch break. Just a regular Tuesday. I stopped by my mom's place to drop off some paperwork she'd asked for, then took the long way back through Ridgeview, the side road with no lights and barely any traffic. I like it there. Quiet. Like time forgot about it. Then I saw them. 2 cars pulled off onto a gravel shoulder, half shielded by a row of tall hedges and a rusted, no dumping sign. One of them was Raul's, unmistakable, even from the back. The black Camry with the dull left taillight. Parked crooked, like he'd pulled in fast. And the other? Melissa's. Her SUV. Parked beside his, passenger side windows fogged up, windshield wipers off despite the steady drizzle. I should have kept driving. I didn't. I eased the truck to a stop a little ways down and got out. Quietly. No slamming doors. No headlights. Just the sound of tires hissing on wet gravel. I cut through the tree line, boots sinking slightly into the soft mud. Their windows were tinted, but not blacked out. Not enough to hide what was happening inside, not when you were this close. Raul was in the driver's seat. Melissa was on top of him, her hands on his shoulders, his arms around her waist, their bodies moving together in a rhythm that left nothing to the imagination. Her face tilted back, eyes closed, mouth open. That same face I'd seen 1,000 mornings. The same woman I ate dinner with every night. She moaned something I couldn't hear. Raul said something back, and she laughed. Not a fake laugh. Not nervous. A real one. Deep, open. The kind she hadn't used with me in. I don't know how long. And I just stood there, watching. Not because I wanted to punish myself, but because I needed the truth to hit me square in the chest. I needed it to be undeniable. So there'd be no, maybe I'm wrong. No, maybe it's just in my head. No, maybe it was just a kiss. This was not a kiss. This was not a moment of weakness. This was them doing what they'd clearly done before. Comfortable. Familiar. She knew exactly what she was doing. And he did too. I stepped back before they could see me, got into my truck and sat there, hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles went white. I didn't scream, didn't cry, didn't punch the dash. I just sat there, listening to the rain. 5 minutes later, her SUV drove past me, headed back toward town. She didn't see me. She looked calm, peaceful, even, like someone who'd just gotten something out of her system. Raul followed a few car lengths behind. Same route, same silence. I waited until they were both gone, then drove home slow and steady. That night, she came in late. Said traffic was bad. Said she ran into Amanda at Target and they lost track of time. I nodded. Told her I was glad she got out for a bit. The next morning didn't feel like the day after your whole life shifts. It felt normal, which somehow made it worse. Melissa was already downstairs when I woke up. I could hear the low clatter of dishes, the sound of a spatula scraping a pan. She was making pancakes. That surprised me. She hadn't made breakfast like that in a long time, not since Caleb was little. I walked into the kitchen and found her moving around like everything was fine. She smiled when she saw me, said something about trying to be nice, and poured me a cup of coffee before I even sat down. Just like old times. But it wasn't like old times. Not anymore. I sat at the table while she talked about traffic on Maple Street, about a funny video Amanda sent her. I nodded when it made sense to. Ate the pancakes. Sipped the coffee. She seemed relaxed. Light, even. Like someone who had let go of something heavy. But all I could think about was the way she looked in Raul's car the day before. Her face. Her expression. The way she moved, like she was completely comfortable being with him like that. No hesitation. No shame. Like it wasn't new. And that meant it wasn't a mistake. I wasn't heartbroken. Not in the movie kind of way. No yelling, no thrown plates, no tears. It felt more like standing in a house that had already burned down, nothing left to scream about. Just ash. After breakfast, she kissed me on the cheek and said she was running errands. She asked if I needed anything. I said no. She smiled again and left. As soon as the door closed behind her, I got to work. I called Donna, my lawyer. We've known each other for years. She's the kind of woman who doesn't waste time and doesn't ask more than she needs to. Is it happening? She asked, as soon as I said her name. Yeah, I said. It's happening. She told me she'd start drafting the paperwork that afternoon and would send it over once it was ready. She also recommended I document everything I had. Not to humiliate Melissa, but to protect myself if things got ugly later. Next, I called a locksmith. Told him I wanted every lock in the house changed, all doors, front and back. He could come that afternoon. I didn't want to wait. Then I texted Charlie. He owns a local garage and tow service. Good guy. Loud laugh. Always smells like motor oil. I told him to swing by Raul's place and pick up the company car. No rush. Just get it off the road and parked at his shop for now. No repairs needed. Just out of the way. He didn't ask why. He just said, got it. By 2 p.m., the locksmith was outside drilling out the old deadbolts. I didn't explain anything. Just offered him a Coke and let him work. I stood on the porch as he finished up, sipping a beer, watching the street. The neighborhood was quiet. Sprinklers ticking. Somewhere down the block, a dog barked. That's when Melissa pulled in. She got out of the car, holding a small grocery bag. Looked like soap, maybe salad greens sticking out the top. Her eyes caught the locksmith's van as it pulled away. She froze, then looked at me. There was confusion in her face, but not panic. More like realization. Like something she'd known deep down was finally becoming real. What's going on? She asked. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't even get off the porch. I just looked at her and said, I had the locks changed. She took a few steps closer. Why? I didn't answer right away. Just watched her, the way her hand gripped the grocery bag a little tighter. Then I said it. I saw you. Yesterday. With Raul. She didn't deny it. She didn't act shocked or ask what I meant. She just looked down for a second, then back at me. Her face was pale. Lips pressed together like she was holding something in. Eventually she said, it wasn't supposed to go this way. I nodded. But it did. She didn't cry. Not yet. She just stood there, like she was waiting for permission to speak, or maybe hoping I'd say something kind. But I didn't have anything like that left in me. I told her she could come inside and get what she needed, that I wasn't going to stop her from grabbing her clothes or toothbrush, but that after tonight, she wouldn't be staying here anymore. The process had already started. She asked if we could talk. I said no. Not out of anger, just because I didn't see the point. You don't fix something after it breaks like that. You don't glue it back together and call it love again. It doesn't work that way. She nodded, slowly. Said, okay, like it hurt to say it. Then walked past me into the house. I didn't follow her. Just stayed on the porch. About 20 minutes later, she came back out with a small suitcase and a box in her arms. She looked at me, like maybe I'd say something, ask her to stay, tell her I still loved her. Anything. I didn't. She got in the car and drove off. I watched until the taillights disappeared. Then I finished my beer, walked inside, and shut the door behind me. It didn't slam. Just closed. Quiet. Final.